Welcome hobbyists to another painting video where we're going to begin painting up the models from Horizon Zero Dawn, the board game. Welcome hobbyists to another Getting on the Tabletop, where today we are not doing miniatures for miniature-based games, but we're doing the miniatures in a board game. A board game based on one of my favorite PS4 and PS5 games, the Horizon series. This is Horizon Zero Dawn, the first game that came out on PS4. Of course, you have Horizon The Forbidden West, which is currently out on PS5, and I've played through both, and I've loved them. I actually played through Horizon Zero Dawn multiple times now. I played it the first time I got it, then I played it when I had the DLC. I played it fully through with the DLC when I, of course, heard about right before Horizon Forbidden West, Horizon 2 Forbidden West dropped, and then I played through Horizon Forbidden West. So I'm glad that I found this. I found this my first year of GenCon. This is by Steamforged Games. I have this, the main core set, and then I have multiple smaller side sets. So there's a lot of models in this box. You get 4 hunters, I think a Banuk, a 𝐒𝐍𝐍𝐄𝐄, a Nora, and an 𝐒𝐎𝐍𝐍𝐄𝐄, and then you get a bunch of models. 4 watchers, 4 grazers, I think. No, strider. So you get 4 striders, 4 grazers. I was right on the 4 scrappers, 2 shell walkers, and 2 sawtooths. And then I have a Thunderbird, I think, oh my gosh, the big one that tunnels underground, a Thunderjaw, and then I think I have the mercenaries, the bad guys you can who set up a little outpost throughout the Horizon series. And then I have one more expansion, but I can't remember it. But I do have quite a few of these expansions, so you know what? I decided, let's paint up these models. And the models we're gonna start out from this box are our 4 little watchers. Now, I have 4 watchers here, but we are only going to paint up 1 because the paint scheme will be the same for all the watchers. So let's look at the individual watcher that we will be painting up. So here is the watcher model. Again, you get 4 watchers altogether, but we're only gonna paint up 1. The other 3 I'll be painting off on the side, so you'll get all 4 for the glamour shot look. But anyways, you can play the Horizon Zero Dawn board game without painting up the models, but you know, that's gray. I wouldn't really call it gray plastic, but I guess some form of light grayish looking plastic, and that doesn't seem right for models, especially for a tabletop miniature game channel. So I thought it'd be really cool to paint up these models. So I started out, of course, cleaning up all of the mold lines on them. They're made of, I think, a PVC plastic. It is a hard plastic, I just don't know which type of plastic. But anyways, the mold lines were pretty unlovely to remove, but they were there. I removed them. I used my sander. I used a hobby knife to all get those removed off of this model, of course. Then after that, I went out and I gave it a black primer, of course, using Army Painter matte black primer. So that's what we're going to start here with, and we're going to begin coloring it. Now, you're thinking, well, clearly we're going to paint these up in the traditional style of Horizon Zero Dawn. So that means we're going to give it white with the black and some gold. We could do that, but that seems kind of boring. I wanted to give these guys more of my flair, and my flair is a red dragon. So we're going to paint the carapace red. We're going to keep the body black. That's why we primed it in black, because most of the model in itself is black, if you look at pictures of watchers. Of course, we have the eyeball in the front here that will, of course, be giving a blue look to, but we're going to do the armor panel on the top, on the head, and then these rivets that are throughout the model, we're going to give it a gold look to it. And then, of course, we'll dry brush up this model because I don't see a reason to edge highlight. So we're just going to do a dry brush for the model. Of course, we'll do a blue for the lens. And well, this models will be ready to be put on this board game table and look really, really neat. So let's start out with, of course, the red, which is going to be the armor. Now, the armor on these models are this part right here, the head, and then there's a little armor paneling going down the legs. The rest of the model is black. That is why, again, like I said, we primed it black. So let's get that red down, and to do that red, we will be using pure red. I got some pure red here, of course, on my wet palette, on my brush, and I'm just going to work over this. Now again, if I happen to get this red on a part that's not meant to be like the armor plating on the model, then I will just go back with some matte black and fix that up. So if you yourself have these models, you can of course do any color scheme you want under the rainbow. You can also do the white color scheme that's traditionally found throughout the game for their white armor plating. But I kind of want to just give them my own unique flair, and you know, being that my mascot is a red dragon, I see no reason not to give the armor some red here and give these models some nice red coating. So I'm just going to take my time working through the red and get it applied to this model and then also the other ones. So see you once I complete the red. So we finished up the red armor on our watcher here. Now I will let you know why I was painting this. I did have a image of the watcher on my phone next to me so I could pick out all of the red armor points on it, or what was originally white armor on the original watcher design. So we're going to do two colors here next. First, we're going to color in the lens portion of the watcher, and then there are these little rivets that go through this side of the watcher and then this side of the watcher that we're going to do in a gold color. So to do those colors, we'll be using deep blue for the lens and retributor armor for the gold. So I got some deep blue on my brush, and I'm just going to pick out the lens, of course being cautious of course the rest of the eye area. So we're gonna of course pick that out in deep blue. That would give that blue coloration that you see when the watchers bring their heads up and they scan the area. Of course, if you wanted to, you could also make your watcher's eyes yellow when they're alerted to someone being near, and then red if you wanted to say, like, you know, they found a hunter and they're gonna go deal with that. Now for the gold paint, as you can clearly see here, I'm not sure if my camera picks it up, but there's these little rivets that are right there on the neck. I'm going to give that some gold. That look like the gold part that you see in little parts of their model here. There you go. So you can see there's like that gold shimmer in there. So I'm just gonna work through all those rivets very slowly. I'm also gonna do the ones that are back here on the tail section. And then once we are done, we are ready to wash up this model. So I will return to you all once I've completed those parts. So we completed up the gold there. As you can see, just the riveting down the tail area and up the spine. We got the lens in there, a nice blue color, again, because I want my watcher to be like it's watching. Again, if you wanted to change that lens color to them being suspicious, it'd be yellow. If you wanted to change them that they know someone's there, that is red. And then we have the other spine areas as well. They're on the tail and they're on the neck area. So we are completely done with all of the base colors for the model. Very simple. As you can see, it's 4 simple colors: a red, a black, and a gold, and a blue. Though you can change up the lens color however you want to. Again, blue is that they're unaware. Yellow is the machines are, you know, they can feel a presence in the area, but they're not sure where it is. And red means they are alerted to your presence. So change the lens color however you want it to be. So we're now going to wash the model. We're going to do 3 washes. We're going to use a blue wash for the blue lens, a dark tone wash for the entire rest of the body, and then a contrast paint for the red. So let's talk about those 3 washes. First up, for the blue lens, we have Dragunov Nightshade. I really love this for blue. You know how much I love it for blue, so here it is. Again, if you don't have Dragunov Nightshade and you're just using, say, Army Painter stuff, there is a blue wash you can use as well. I just happen to like Dragunov Nightshade. For the body and the gold, we're gonna use Dark Tone ink from Army Painter, of course, 1-to-1 with Quick Shade Mixing Medium here. So Dark Tone and Quick Shade Mixing Medium, of course, for the body and the gold. That'll darken it up. So for the red, we're going to use Citadel's Contrast Paint Blood Angels Red. Now, contrast paint is meant to immediately just go down on models to immediately just highlight that area and paint it red. Some work that way, some don't work that way. I do believe that Dark Reaper is really good if you just want to get weapons painted up black like Star Wars Legion weapons. But most of the time I use contrast paints as a wash too, and also as a highlight. For instance, when I'm painting up stormtroopers, I use Apothecary White to give some highlights to the white armor of a stormtrooper. I also use it for all of my Iron Hands Space Marine weapons as well. So it's very good. But I've been using this red wash to act as a highlight over a basic red paint, like pure red. This is how I also get my highlights for my Battletech models. After I airbrush them red, I then go over them with the Blood Angels Red to highlight all the little areas I want to highlight before I dry brush, and then I go back and pick out all the gun areas and areas I want to be the green so I can make my Battletech models. So I really like this. Again, it kind of matters how you like it. If you have speed paints from Army Painter, you could probably use this as well. I'm just more typical to contrast paints. I really haven't used the speed paints from Army Painter that much, but I do hear they are really good as well. So we're going to use this to highlight all of the red armor parts of our model. So when I return, I'll have the entire model highlighted, or I guess I should say washed. Alright folks, so there we are. We've completed up all of the washes here. You see it quickly darkened up everything. The red wash, of course, defining all those little nicks, knacks, and cracks in it. Again, if you wanted to, you could actually go back with Black Templar and use the contrast paint to define all the black area, and then go in with your gold and then highlight those gold areas, and then just highlight those up with like dark tone, sepias, or any like brown washes or anything like that to just darken it up if you wanted to make it more rustic. I decided just to do dark tone all together, and then of course, like I said, do a blue wash for the lens, and then the red contrast paint for the red. So anyways, now it's time to highlight the model. Of course, we're going to do two methods of highlighting: edge highlighting and dry brushing. Now, we're not going to do a traditional dry brush. When I did the three other models, I dry brushed, but it was a little hard trying to dry brush some of the areas, especially with the red armor. So I decided I'm going to actually do a different method here. I'm going to sponge on our dry brush. Now you can use the sponge method to highlight other models like tanks and buildings and stuff like that. I've seen other people utilize. So in essence, we're going to take a sponge and we're generally going to work our way through the black of the model. Then we're going to take a sponge and we're going to work through the red of the model. And then we're going to do a traditional edge highlight for the lens and a traditional edge highlighting for our gold. So let's start off with the black, and to do that color, we'll be using Dark Reaper. Again, like I've said multiple times, if you want your blacks to look more gray, go to a higher level of color than Dark Reaper, like Fenrisian gray or gray, but I don't like blacks turning gray. Doesn't look good on them, so I just use Dark Reaper, which gives a subtle highlight to the area. Now I will let you all know you can still do a dry brush if you want to, but I think this will also give more of a rustic look to these guys. So what we're going to do is we're just simply going to tap away, and we're going to pick up those edged areas. Again, I think this gives a more rustic look also to these guys, because again, these watchers are, you know, out in the wilds, you know, getting beat up by the elements. So again, I'm just going to take my time, and I'm just going to gently tap my sponge around the areas just to give that subtling looking highlight. Again, I think this gives a rustic look to the model, especially with it being out in the wild. I think it gives it a cool nature. If you don't like this look, feel free to simply just go back to the traditional dry brushing method and just be very, very cautious with, of course, the red. So I'm going to take my time and work through this model. So we finished up the Dark Reaper, giving that subtle look across the model. Again, I just dabbed on just a little bit of that sponging method. When I did my sponging method, I used my dry palette to sponge off a lot of that paint, so I didn't have all that paint, so I didn't glob it up everywhere. I was very careful around all of the red of the model, so I just wanted to make sure that was done there. Again, you can see we have a very nice subtle highlight. So now we're going to highlight up the red, and to do that we'll be using Evil Sunz Scarlet. So I have some sponge here, and we're just going to gently work our way across the model. And when doing this method, all you really want to be doing is you really want to be picking up the raised edges, much like what dry brushing would do, but it also gives that rustic look to the model. I'm going to take my time working through it and being cautious of that black part we just completed. So there we are, a subtle highlight on the red. Again, using that sponging method. So that's the last of the sponging method we will need to be using, as we're now going to go to the simplistic method of edge highlighting. And we're going to start by edge highlighting up the lens, and then we're going to edge highlight up, of course, the metallic. So for the lens, we will be using Lothran Blue as the first highlight, again using half circles, Batharoth Blue as in the corners of each circle, and a small dot of matte white to give that look of reflection. So in the lens there are 3 little lenses here. So we're going to give each of those a half moon shape. And we're going to do it on the top portion of the lens. So see, there we have that lens now well defined on each of those little eye pockets on the lens. So now we're going to move into the Batharoth Blue. For the Batharoth Blue, we're just going to pick out the corner over here and give each of those a nice little highlight. It's subtle, but it is there. And then finally, we're going to finish it up by putting a dot of white scar on probably the rightmost lens over here. And there we are. As you can see, the dot is right in there. And by the way, I did call it white scar, but it is matte white. You can also use white scar as well if you so wish. But that is the lens done for our watcher, and all we have left is to do the gold rivets throughout the body. And to that, we will be using acrylic armor gold. So for this gold paint, we're going to start down here in the tail. We're just going to simply just edge highlight by dotting each piece with the gold color. That will bring it back out, allow it to stand against the model. And there we have it. We finished up that highlight where we just gave the model a nice look to, of course, the gold paneling there, or the gold strips. Again, that just brings that gold shine back to them and helps them stand out against the black armor. But anyways, that is it for this model. We are officially done painting up the model. So now we just need to base the model. And to start out that basing, we will be utilizing Citadel's Technical Armageddon Dunes. So I put it on the model, the base of the model. Now I'm going to gently just work it around the model. So this is going to take some time, and then we're going to let it fully cure and dry before we can, of course, finish up this model. So I'm just going to take my time. I'm going to work through giving this a nice base, and then once that hits fully cured, I will return to you, and we are going to finish up this base and call these models good. So our basing material has been fully cured now. It took about a couple of hours for the basing material to fully cure. Again, you just want to leave that time. You don't want any like soft centers or anything like that. You just want to let it fully cure, even if you have to give it a full night over. We didn't use a lot of it, so it cured pretty fast here. So now we're going to finish up the base with 2 more things. First, we're going to do a dry brush, and then I'm going to add some woodland tufts from Army Painter. So first, let's talk about the dry brush for the base. And to do that, we will be using Tyrant Skull. So I loaded up the brush here with some paint, and then we're gonna just
gently dry brush that across the entire base here. Again, start out light with your dry brush, and then after a while, move into, of course, a heavier dry brush. You can also bring this color up onto the legs of the model as well, so that of course you can blend in that color as well. So basically blend in the base, the dry brushing with the model itself so that you can continue to blend it. So I'm gonna take my time here, get the dry brush done, and I will return with that. So there we have it. We've completed up the model here. Of course, very nice looking dry brush there. So one final thing we're going to do for this model is we are going to add, like I said, some woodland tufts from the army painter. So I took some super glue, put it onto a toothpick here, and I'm gonna choose, I think, this spot right there. I got a tuft here, spin this all for you, and then I'm going to just put it right there. Just adding a little bit of flair to the base. Again, a lot of this is optional, so you could easily just skip doing tufting. I don't normally put them on my base, but I thought it'd be unique for these models. So of course, after I let the super glue dry, I'm going to then redo the rim of the base black, just so I can confirm that black paint again, just get it all solid, and then I'm going to varnish the model. Then I'm going to use some art coat on the lens just to give it that shine, and this model will be good. Well, I hope you all enjoyed that painting video. This video was very much different than the last few videos we've done, where the last few videos we've done models that coincide with miniature games that you want to get on a tabletop and play with and roll dice. Here we did a board game model that only really associates itself to a board game, but still, they are fun to paint up, giving your own flair to the board game, giving your own flair to the models. And truth be told, you might want to just start with some board game models as your first true test models before you jump into the more expensive tabletop miniature models. Plus, painting up board game models and playing with painted board game models is very, very cool, because it gives you that flash of color than the grays and the blacks and the browns or whatever plastic was used to mold that model. So I do hope you enjoyed this different style of painting video. I will be doing more of these painting videos as I work through my entire collection of my Horizon Zero Dawn board game models. From the rest of the starter kits to the expansions I own, I'm going to be doing them all here for you. And let me know down in the comments your thoughts on the paint scheme, thoughts on the models, thoughts on the video. Should I do more board game miniatures? And alongside, of course, tabletop miniatures. Let me know that all down in the comments. And while you're commenting down there, do make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell so you get notified when my videos go live for you. And we'll see you here next time on Mama Dragon's Miniatures. And now, on to the glamour shots.